everyone! So today's going to be something new. It's going to be my first time trying to do an instructional cooking video, and I figured why not try with something that I always talk about. I always talk about food being part of family and bringing people together, and our greatest memories always surround food. So what I'm bringing to you today is a meal my mom used to make when I was a little kid. It's probably been at least 20 years since I've had it. Quite honestly, I don't even have a name for it. It's very similar to a cabbage casserole. I texted my mother last week and asked her how she made it, and it's been so long since she's made it that all she can do is give me the rough ingredients, some general cooking instructions, and she said, figure it out. So that's what I did. I spent yesterday trying a couple different ways of doing it. My first try came pretty close. I tweaked it up a little bit, made it again, and cooked it for my roommates. And they absolutely loved it, and so did I. It tasted exactly what I remember from my childhood, so now that I know what I'm doing with it, I'm going to bring it to you guys. So here's what you're going to need. It's very simple, some Jimmy Dean sausage, and I choose Jimmy Dean specifically because something about their grind, they have the right seasonings, the right flavors to actually bring this together. Cabbage, you can shred it on your own. I'm going to do it the cheap and easy way and get some coleslaw shredding from your local grocery store. Shredded carrots as well. Again, you can shred them yourself, but it's just a lot of extra work. Doesn't really change the flavor, so buy pre-shredded like I did. You're gonna need some water, some heavy cream, an onion, and some chicken bouillon. Again, something I chose to use instead of chicken broth or anything else. The powder works great. When my mother gave me the ingredients, she gave it to me in cubes. So I'm gonna use cubes, and we're gonna grind those up to turn them into the powder. So however you want to do that part, but that's it. So sausage, cabbage, carrots, water, cream, onion, and bouillon. So let's go ahead and grab that real quick. So we got our cream, we got our cabbage. The packages are already open because again, I said I've been doing this for a couple days now. So I've got everything pretty much pre-portioned for this. And speaking of portions, today we're going to be cooking it basically a single size portion. My portions are usually pretty heavy, but it should be roughly about one portion. And then you can just scale it from there depending on how many people you're eating. So first thing we'll do is we'll just get our onions diced up here. And as long as I've been in a kitchen, there's one thing I've never been good at is dicing onions. I see all these celebrity chefs, they do 5 little cuts and boom, they've got diced onion everywhere. So, don't know how they do it, but I'm gonna do it my way. My knife skills are just terrible, so don't make fun of me so much. Alright, so as far as the onion goes, you're gonna want roughly a 1/4 cup of onion. This is one of those recipes that's actually super forgiving. If you go a little too much, a little too little, the cabbage, the carrots, the onions, it really doesn't mess it up at all. It just may not taste exactly the same every time, but guarantee it'll still be good. I probably should have practiced instead of just straight up turning on the camera and going, but it's what I did. So, like I said, about a 1/4 cup of onion. This is probably way more than that, but you know, like I said, it's a forgiving recipe. You really don't have to be exact. That is a whole cup of onion. That might be a little too much, so we'll cut back a little bit on the onion. Fortunately, I got a little baggie here, and we'll save that for another recipe. That's still too much. The joys of doing a one-cut recording. Alright, so we have about a 1/4, half cup somewhere in there of the onion, so we're good on that. Next is going to be our shredded cabbage and our carrots. And the single serving, fairly simple. You need about 1 cup of shredded cabbage. I like to pack it down a little bit, so might be a little bit more than a cup, but won't be a whole lot more. So we got our cup of cabbage. And then like I said, about 1/8 cup of carrots. Now the cabbage is going to cook down a lot. The carrots, not so much. So if it doesn't look like you have a whole lot of carrots to cabbage ratio going on, I promise you do, because that cup of cabbage is really going to cook down. Okay, and then your sausage. I already have a 1/4 pound of sausage portioned out for a single serving. That's what you're going to need, is about a 1/4 pound. So what you're going to want to do is bring your sausage over, get it cooked really, really well. I mean, to the point to where you can eat it. So I know it's going to cook a little bit more while it is in the cabbage and carrots cooking down, but I am one of those super paranoid people. I want to make sure my pork is completely cooked through. And don't worry, there's enough liquid in this. Nothing is going to be dry. You can cook this stuff till it's pretty much burnt. And again, forgiving recipe, it's probably going to taste just fine. So get your pan set just about, you're going to want it about medium high. You don't want to cook it too fast. If you cook it too fast, you're going to end up burning off a lot of the fat. We're going to need that fat later when we are doing our onions. That in the pan. I can't stress this enough. Wash your hands. Cross-contamination, terrible thing. You don't want uncooked sausage mixed up with anything. There's really nothing in life you want uncooked sausage mixed in. So, hands are clean. Come over, get the sausage done. Like I said, you're going to want to cook this over medium heat. You want to cook it, but you don't want to burn the fat out. You want to go ahead and let that fat accumulate in the pan, because you're going to need it later while we're sauteing the onions. While the sausage is cooking, it's not a bad idea to get a pot of water going. The last ingredient I forgot to mention you're going to need is noodles. This is definitely best served over some extra wide egg noodles. This is what I remember my mom doing it over. I can't really imagine another noodle that's going to go very well. Maybe the bow tie pasta might work okay with it, because you're going to want something that the sauce can grab onto. Spiral noodles aren't going to work so well because of everything else you have in there with the cabbage, the carrots, and the sausage. It's not going to grab as well. You're going to end up with, it's just not going to be right. So I've noticed that flat egg noodles, extra wide, are usually the best, but if you try a different noodle and it comes out pretty good, use what you want. I'm not your boss. So while that's happening, we'll get a pot of water boiling, and as you see here, I cheated and got one going ahead of time. But that's because we, for the sake of time, want to be able to edit this video. So right now is a lot of downtime. I'm going to go over there, cook the sausage through the magic of television. We're probably going to speed this up and get right back to your vegetables. Hi, kitty. And as you see there, right there's some sausage. You're just not doing it right if you don't make a mess out of the kitchen, I suppose. So one of the things I messed up on was we're going to saute the onions. So having all that cabbage and everything sitting on top of our onions, not really going to help much. So hopefully you're not following along and you watch the video before you cook. Separate your onions from everything else, so that way we may saute the onions. Now, first time I cooked this, I didn't saute the onions, and my mom didn't say anything about sauteing onions either. However, I noticed that when I do kind of caramelize them a little bit and sweat them out, it just gives it a more, it gives it a richer flavor, something a little more, just adds a little sweetness to it. So, once your sausage is done browning, cooking, go ahead and remove the sausage from the pan. I have a bowl here ready to go. You're going to want to try to keep as much of that fat. Now, if you're cooking more than one serving, you'll get a lot more fat to cook your onions in. However, one serving doesn't do a lot. I think there's just enough in here to do what we need to do. So, up the heat a little bit. Get that going hot. While that's happening, bouillon. So, for a single serving, it doesn't take much. About 3/4 of a cube or a whole cube if you want. It's kind of hard to portion out a cube of bouillon. But I can do it. The reason why it's 3/4, when you cook this for multiple people, a pound of sausage will typically feed you about 6 to 8 people. And at that point, you're going to need 3 bouillon cubes, so that's how we ended up with what we did. So the pan is nice and hot. Let's get our onions cooking. Go ahead and get yourself, for one serving, you're not going to need a whole lot of water. It's only about 1/8 cup. If you use a little too much water, it's not going to be that big a deal. It's okay if this recipe is a little bit on the thin side, because with the heavy cream, it will thicken up after cooking. So you get that water ready. Like I said earlier, the bouillon cube is going to come in handy at this point. It's a pretty cool knife my roommate's made out of a railroad spike. Just use the bottom of it for smashing. So, once your onions are cooked down, oh, it smells so good. Go ahead and add your cabbage and your carrots mixture. Add your water. Turn down the heat just a little bit there. And then the bouillon cube grind you got going on there. And then just let that start to cook down. Like I said, you want to lower the heat. You don't want this too much. Otherwise, you'll end up burning your cabbage. That will not have a positive effect on your food. As forgiving as the recipe is, burnt cabbage does not taste very good. Go ahead and measure out our cream sauce, our heavy cream. Again, since this is a single serving, it's not going to take a whole lot. Cream, you're going to want about 1/2 cup. Alright, so our cabbage is definitely cooked down a little bit and it's gotten soft, so we want to add our sausage mixture back into it. We're going to turn up the heat again now. Once you start getting a good sizzle going on, you know the pan's gotten hot enough again. Go ahead and add our heavy cream. Stir that around a little bit once you've added the cream. Go ahead and let that come to a boil. Once it reaches a boil, go ahead and reduce it to a very low simmer. there we go again with tossing food underneath the burner in front of us. Now, once you get this to a simmer, you're going to want to let it set. Pay attention to it for about 10 minutes. We'll set a timer here for 10 minutes. And this is actually perfect timing because our ribbon noodles are going to take, our egg noodles are going to take about 8 minutes to cook. This is going to be the most professional measuring you've ever seen on any kind of cooking show, YouTube channel, or anything like that. For a single serving, you're going to want approximately 1 handful. I'm going to say it's about a cup and a half. Get that going. We're going to want to season with a little bit of salt and a generous amount of pepper. If you're not a pepper fan, you can skip the pepper, but you do want to have the salt. Now, great thing about this, and I'm pretty sure the reason my mom used to make this for us, I don't know any child that jumps out of the way and says that they absolutely love vegetables. You know, as a kid, I didn't have much of a problem with vegetables, but there were 3 children in our household, and my parents weren't one of the ones to really deal with fighting about food. It was pretty much eat it or go hungry. But they were still quite creative in their way of making us eat vegetables. And I think this is one of those meals that my mom made to kind of help us get our servings of vegetables. This, even though it's full of cabbage, carrots, it's a really good way to sneak vegetables into your kid's diet. You really don't, it doesn't taste like cabbage. It's actually a very sweet and savory dish. I haven't fed it to my kids yet, but knowing the way they are, they're very picky eaters, and I still think they're gonna actually enjoy this. I loved it as a kid. Anytime I smelled this cooking, it was just drool nonstop, and I can eat until I would explode. So definitely give this a try. Feed it to your kids. Don't tell them what's in it, because we all know that once they know what it is, it's disgusting. But give it a try. I promise you they're going to love it. So, like I said, keep paying attention. You don't want this to just sit alone, unattended. You want to give it a little bit of attention. So just every once in a while, come over and stir it a little bit. Here's the part where we use editing magic and make time go faster, because I'm not going to make you guys sit and watch me for 10 minutes. All right, so we got about a minute left on this. We're going to check the noodles. I know they haven't been boiling. I really don't understand why. So we'll see. Oh goodness, that's hot. They are cooked, so got about 30 seconds left on that timer, so I think we're good. Go ahead and remove the heat. We're going to let that set for just a moment. Get our noodles. Now, I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times on 1,000 different food channels. Strain your noodles. Don't rinse them, especially in this recipe. You're gonna want to keep these noodles. You're gonna want to. I'm having a problem speaking now because, you know, why not? But you're not going to want to strain the noodle. You're not going to want to rinse the noodles. The sauce won't stick as well. It's just not good. Camera 2 may have run out of storage space because I forgot to put a micro SD card in. So hopefully it got most of the finishing cooked. However, just in case it did not, here is our finished product. And that's it, guys. You have a recipe my mother made me as a child. So from my home to yours, I really hope you enjoy this. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. I probably need a lot of working on my dialogue, but let's leave me alone on that one. Tell me what you think of the dish, Let me know if you tried it. Let me know what your kids thought too. Hopefully you let them try it. And this is definitely one of my hometown eats. That is so good. I can eat this all day long. Mom, I don't know what I would do without you. Thank you, guys. I don't know how much of this I'm going to edit out, but that sudden amount of thunder and noise in the background, it's just my luck. When I started filming this, it was sunny and beautiful outside, just gorgeous. And we are almost to the end of filming, and it's pretty gross. I'm gonna grab another camera and do a quick show around of what it looks like outside now. Did I mention that it was raining earlier? You guys are still here? I already cooked. It's done. We ate it. Go away. Bye.